In this series, we're going to be looking at the four operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. In this video today, we're going to be looking at addition and the different methods that we can use when trying it out. So let's see. The two methods we're going to go over today are called column addition and partitioning the number. Let's look at column addition first. Column addition is usually used when we're adding bigger numbers. When I say the term bigger numbers, I usually mean numbers from the hundreds to the hundred thousands to the millions and billions, although they're not going to ask you to do that. When we're doing column addition, it is a written method. So that means that we always write it in this format. We always have a line here with the addition symbol on top. In this yellow box here is usually where we put the numbers that we are adding. And in the lower blue box here, this is where our answer will go. So, let's see this sum first. 645 plus 489. We always put the two numbers or more numbers that we're adding in the yellow box, as I said before. And remember, when we're doing this, we always have to make sure that the place value digits will line up. So the ones will line up, the tens, and so on. So, we always start from the very right, from the ones. So that includes 5 and 9. What we do is we see the 5 and we add downwards to the 9. When we're doing column methods, we always work from the top downwards. Although you might think that we can add both ways, so 5 add 9 is the same as 9 add 5, that is true, but when we're using column methods for subtraction, then that isn't true. So we should just get into the habit of learning that we always go from the top downwards. So anyways, let's see, 5 add 9 is equal to 14. However, in our answer box, we can see that 14 is made up of 1 10 and 4 ones. But we only have the space for one digit here in the ones. So what we do is we're going to keep the ones, so that will be 4, and we will carry over the 10 in 14 to the tens column. So now let's move over to the tens column, and the same, we're going to do 4 add 8. 4 add 8 we know is equal to 12. But as we can remember, there's only space for one digit here. So we're always going to keep the ones, so that is 2, and we're going to carry over the 10 from 12 again. Now, before we go any further, remember that from the last time we did this, we carried over a 10 as well. So we're going to do 2 add 1. This is equal to 3. So now let's go over to the hundreds. We have 6 add 4, which we know is equal to 10. Now we can't do this because there's only one digit allowed in this space. So we're going to carry over the 10 to the next column around, and that will become a 0. Remember that we're always going to add the number that we carried over. That is 1 add 0, which is just 1. Now, before we finish, remember that we carried over this 1 at the end, but there isn't anything else to do here. So we're just going to move it up to the next digit. So we have our overall answer, which is 1134. So now we've looked at column addition, let's look at partitioning the number. Partitioning the number is a method that we usually use when we're adding smaller numbers. When I say smaller numbers, I usually mean from the ones to tens and maybe hundreds, but I would say that we only do hundreds if we're really confident with this method. So, partitioning the number is different from column addition. Column addition is our written method, But partitioning the number is a mental method, which means that we do it on our heads. This means that there isn't actually a set method to do it. We also need to note that when partitioning the number, we use place value very importantly here. So you should know place value very well before trying it out. One more thing that we need to know is that you will not be tested on this method in school. However, I'm teaching it now because it's very useful to know from year 3 moving forwards. It helps you all the way through primary and through secondary school. So let's look at some smaller numbers this time. We have 43 plus 12. When we're partitioning the number, what we do is we group each place value to each other. So we're going to group the ones, I'm going to group the tens, and possibly so on. But here we only have tens and ones. And we're going to do addition every time. So first of all, let's do the ones. 3 add 2 is equal to 5. So in our answer box, we can see that we're going to put 5 in the ones value. Now let's move over to the tens. 4 add 1 is equal to 5, also coincidentally. So we're going to put it in the tens column of our final answer. So we can see that our final answer is equal to 55. Now, when partitioning the number, we can actually do this with any number. However, I've said that we do it with smaller numbers because the bigger we go, the harder it will be, because we'll have to remember all the numbers before. And it'll even become even more harder when we start to carry over numbers. When I say carry over numbers, this is what I mean. Let's say we have 354 plus 7. This is starting to get quite big. Since the ones value is the only common value in each of these two numbers, we're only going to circle them. We're going to do 4 plus 7, which is equal to 11. But when we put it in our ones value, we can see that we have a 10 and a 1. So we would have to carry over the 10 from the 11 to the tens column, since it doesn't work before. And remember, we'd have to do this all in our heads. So it would get quite confusing quite quickly. So I would recommend using the column addition method for any numbers 100 and above, and the partitioning method for any numbers below 100. The column addition method is great for accuracy, but it takes a longer time. And the partitioning method is much quicker and much better if you're in a bigger problem-solving question. So let's look over the methods that we looked at. We've seen that we can do column addition, and we've seen that we can do partitioning the number, which is a written method and a mental method. So, going back to our 4 operations, we can successfully say that addition can be checked off. We have covered it.